Today is Wednesday, February the 17th. I'm sorry I didn't do a video last night. I'm doing one tonight. So here we go. McClellan oscillator dipped below the neutral line, which is where we would thought it would go. It could come down to right about this level. It could go down a little bit further. But the good news, let's just take a look at FinViz. Advancers and decliners, roughly 2 to 1. But the Dow finished off moving up. The NASDAQ finished lower, but from 11:30 onwards it was moving up, as was the S&P. The S&P had dropped quite a bit on pretty steady volume and then recovered most of it. That's the good thing. So the S&P had a range today of 33 points, but finished off only down 125. But look at this, it finished off right at the height of the day. We can see that on the 5 minutes. This is the opening 15 minutes. Went up, hit Woody's pivot. Support 1 was rejected. Dropped down in this no man's land between support 2 and 3. Didn't quite make it down to the pivot point, but this is pretty strong rebound. Let's look at some of our favorite stocks. Apple stuck right here on the 50. So let's just hope, you got both 50s here. Let's just hope we have an update tomorrow or it'll get ugly for Apple. Warren Buffett sold 120 million, but he's still got billions. But he was able to use that 120 million, of which he's made a lot of money and invested in Verizon and a few other things, maybe even Wells Fargo. But the point is, nobody should be worried about that. The guy has just made so much money on Apple. It's not funny. So let's just take a look at our other key stocks. Plug today did nothing more than fill the gap. We can take this alert out here, but this is the daily. You can see it did nothing more than fill the gap, which would have been right at that line, but it came back and filled the gap properly, not just the top of this wick here, but filled it completely. So we can take that gap out of there and hope we can get a little bit of a move up. This is still relatively a channel, so this is still a bull flag. Still holding on. PRNT is this ETF that I talked about earlier, and it finished at the top of its day, so that's pretty encouraging. If you look at its 15-minute, no, it didn't finish at the top of its day, did it? Look at this, it came down and then it finished a bit higher. That's the 15-minute. The daily, oh sorry, we're looking at the red one here, not the green one. So let's get rid of all of those alerts. So it dropped from its open right down to this 200%, and it bounced neatly off the 200% up there. So we can expect now that print probably has a little bit of support at the 200. But remember, this is an ETF, and there's a lot of stocks in there. There's some 50 different companies in there. Let's look at another one, and that's Square. Square, let's just get rid of this here. Let's go back here, get rid of this. And Square finished off a little bit down, but did recover. It bounced off the 138.2 and finished up. Still a strong stock. I still like it. I did roll some. I did also buy a couple of hundred shares, and I sold next week's 275 calls, which are pretty rich, $12 and $13 I was able to get in premium on those two different transactions. So that should buffer me down quite a bit. That should buffer me down right down to this 20 moving average, 234, right down to here, about 244, roughly in here. So it's gonna, we also had a bounce off the 8, so I'm pretty happy with having this type of a cushion in the short call. We've looked at the S&P. No, we didn't look at the S&P. The S&P basically just channeling. Didn't do very much. NIO is the other stock that we're looking at. Let's get rid of the Woody's pivots. And NIO is still playing in this wedge here. Didn't really hit off of a Fibonacci. Let's take a look at the 5-minute, and let's put in the Woody's pivots here and see if pivots came into play. And they did not. Rejection at the S1, no man's land on the S2. I feel like I've already talked about NIO. Maybe I did. Anyways, that's it for today. So where are we going tomorrow? The S&P, not really due for a bounce. I would think that this choppiness isn't over yet, and the McClellan oscillator tells us that there's still some downwards to go. So hang on. Pullbacks are nice.